Hi, Marley.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on my podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. I haven't had a guest on my podcast in a really long time, honestly.
Well, I'm flattered that you thought of me. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no, I thought of you because I was looking back at my old episodes, and the one that I did with my sister about being like an NFL girlfriend did really well because I think so many people are interested in what is it like to date someone or be married to someone that has this lifestyle that majority of the world doesn't relate to or doesn't know the behind the scenes of. And so I was like, perfect. I'm going to have Marley on and we're going to talk about being like an NBA wife.
Yeah.
So tell the audience a little bit about how you and Dru met and what you were doing before, for anyone that, you know, is interested in just like your story. Because I think a lot of times people think, like we were talking about this before, it's like, I want to marry someone that's an athlete, you know, and like that's the goal going before they even like meet a person. But that definitely like was not the case with you and Dru.
Yeah. So we met at Evansville. We both played basketball and we dated for a while. And then he ended up transferring to Mizzou and played 2 seasons there. I graduated, so we did a year of distance, and then I graduated in 2019, moved to Columbia, we got engaged, and I taught 4th grade for 2 years in Columbia, Missouri, while he was finishing playing there. And then, like kind of his junior year was when he really decided that this was something he wanted to do. And like I've told you, like when we first met, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a teacher and he's going to be a financial advisor, and like that's going to be our life. And so I had no idea that we would be heading this direction. But yeah, it's been the best thing. And we got married in 2021 and have been on the journey ever since.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times, especially people that are athletes, they're athletes their whole lives. Like I know obviously Dru was an athlete for his whole life, but sometimes like from early on, you kind of have these dreams of like, I'm going to go to the NBA. Like I'm going to go to the NFL. Like it's like in high school, if people are already picking out like who's going to be like the next big star. But for you guys, it really wasn't like that.
Yeah, I think he always like, I remember his mom saying like when he was like 8, saying like he wanted to go to the NBA. And so I think he always had aspirations for it, but he's also like the most humble person. Like, you know, you've met him, and I just don't know if that was really like on his radar until he had quite a few people telling him like, hey man, like you can make a living out of this. And so then I think it just kind of clicked in his head, like I can do this. And once he, you know, got that in his mind, then he like went all in, and it's just been amazing to see like his growth and the journey that he's had.
Yeah. When you guys first got married and when you guys were engaged and, you know, you first like lived together for the first time and everything like that, was he already like pursuing this, or were you guys in college?
So when I moved to Columbia in 2019, we got engaged that August. So I moved like May, June, right after I graduated, got engaged. I would say like middle of his junior year, because we were a grade apart. Well, then when he transferred, he ended up being 2 grades above me, or below me. And so that's why he had 2 seasons left at Mizzou. So his redshirt junior year, I would say like midway through was really when he was like, I'm going to go for this, and just kind of like tunnel focus on that. And so, yeah, I would say about that time was when we knew like, okay, this is probably where we're heading. So.
And you were going to be a teacher, and you were a teacher for a little bit. So was your plan always like, okay, I'm going to like continue to live my life until, you know, we have to like get up and move, or like, were you always thinking this is going to be a temporary situation here?
I guess going into it, I didn't know 100%. You know, what that was going to look like for me. Of course, when I started teaching, I didn't know that we were heading in that direction 100%. I kind of knew like, you know, maybe this would happen, but I had my sights set on teaching. I loved it. I loved the school that I worked at. And so I really thought I would be teaching for a while. And then even with the idea of him pursuing, you know, professional basketball, I still thought in some capacity I could teach in some way. And I did. I subbed after we got married and he went to the G League for his first season with the Heat. I subbed for like basically that full season at like the same school. So it was still me in the classroom, me going every day and like getting that teaching experience, but I wasn't technically a full-time teacher at that point.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to like have to be, I mean, I'm assuming you were like, you had your own athletic career in college, and then, you know, you had your own path to be a teacher. Was it hard to kind of be like, okay, my life is up in the air because obviously like you guys are getting married, you're gonna have to go where he goes, and like not knowing what that's like? Because I think people always say like, oh my God, it's so cool to like, you know, be able to travel and like all this stuff. But I think the downside of it is that your life could literally change in a second. You could move in a day. Like, did that scare you before, or you didn't realize what you were getting into?
I think there's like two parts to this. Yes, it kind of like scared me, but I also didn't know what to expect. So, yeah, I think it was like super exciting, but also like there is some anxiety around it because you don't know what to expect. I think for me, you know, Dru and I, if you know Dru and I, like we're very close, and there was no question for me to not go, I guess, whenever like he decided to pursue the basketball. And of course it was hard to like leave teaching because I did love it so much, but I also was like, you know, this is an amazing opportunity and it's going to be a short amount of time in our life, and it's like, you know, I can always go back to teaching whenever this journey is over. But I think for me there was never really like a question of like if I would go or like stay back, you know. So
yeah. And I talked about this with my sister the last episode, but we talked about how a lot of times people say like, oh, there has to be like a 50-50 balance in relationships, or like, you know, 50-50 sacrifice. And we were talking about that, and we're like, it's not really true. Yeah. Like there should be like, there's going to be seasons in life where like you are able to you have to sacrifice 90%. Yeah. And then there's going to be seasons in life where like he's going to have to sacrifice a little bit more, you know, maybe that's the off season or whatever it is, you know. But like if you go into a relationship expecting every day to be 50-50, like it's not
no one
gonna
shows
work.
up every day their best, you know. Like I love that like everyone has different seasons, and we're all human. So like when we wake up each morning, we're not going to maybe be our best self. And in terms of just this whole situation, like maybe some people see it as like I had to sacrifice like teaching and stuff, and in a way I did, but I would 100% do it again. Like I guess I just don't see it that way necessarily, and I love the journey that we're on. And like I said, I know we won't have this forever. So yeah, I love that point.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people look at sacrifice as like a bad thing. Like, especially today, it's like, oh my gosh, why would you sacrifice so much for like your independence, your life for someone else? But that's
ultimately like we're better together.
Yeah. And like that's the point of relationships, I think. Like it's like it's so unrealistic to go into a relationship expecting that your life is going to stay the same. It's just going to like be an added bonus with this new person. Like there's going to be negatives, but overall, like you said, it's going to be better. But like you're going to go through some hard stuff, or like negatives, or like I'm sure that you don't love moving every few months, or you didn't when that was happening, you know, but like, like you said, you would do it again. So.
Yeah. Like looking back, you know, last year we moved quite a bit, and in the moment you're like, you know, it's kind of frantic and you're stressed and this and that. But like I said, looking back, I would do it all again to end up, you know, like now to end up where we are now. And so, I think you just have to literally take it day by day. And that's kind of what I tell people when they ask me, like, I feel like for a long time, I used to live my life wanting every single second to be planned out, which left me feeling anxious and stressed. And there's still moments of that, but I've had to like really lean into, ultimately, I'm not in control of what happens to us and our life. And like our faith has grown so much over the last few years because we've really leaned into like whatever God's will is for us, like that is what's going to ultimately play out. And I think we just have to trust in that each day.
Yeah. How has that been with the uncertainty? Because he started in the G League. He was a 2A, right? Yeah. Then was he automatically a 2A, or he started G League then 2A?
No, he started in 2019, would have been the 2019-2020 season. We were in Sioux Falls with the G League. And then that season ended. We moved back home, which is Indiana. And then the Heat picked him back up for Summer League. He went through Summer League again, then got signed as a two-way, and then kind of was like bounced back and forth between two-way G League for a few months. And then Brooklyn ended up picking us up as a two-way last season. So we moved to New York. That season ended and we moved back home. And then the Heat called us back this past summer, brought him back on. And then ultimately he got signed, converted to like a standard contract.
Okay. And for those listening that don't know what a two-way is, can you explain just like what that means?
So a two-way is just a two-way player. Each team, it used to be two on a roster, on like an NBA roster, but now each team can have three. And basically they get so many games with the NBA team, and then they can also play with the G League team. But you don't always know like what your schedule is. I mean, to a certain extent you do, but you could, be playing a few games with the NBA team and then go to the G League team in the same week Yeah.
How many times did you guys move last year?
So we went to Summer League, which is in Las Vegas, for like a couple weeks, went home.
And where's home?
Home is Indiana, Southern Indiana, Evansville. And then, so we went home for like a month maybe, and then came back down here to Miami. He did training camp preseason. He got signed as a two-way. So he was with the Heat for maybe like 3 weeks, and then they sent him to Sioux Falls. And so I had actually went home in that time because I had only packed like clothes for maybe 3-4 weeks. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go home, like repack, get a new suitcase, all of that. And so in that time, he was playing with the G League team. And so his family and I met him. He was actually playing in Indiana, one of the G League teams. So we went, and that night he got cut from the two-way. And so we moved to Sioux Falls. Then he got pulled back up with a two-way. He went back to Miami, and then he was flip-flopped again with one of the guys. So we went back to Sioux Falls. And then as our time was, when we were in Sioux Falls, after maybe 3 weeks, then Brooklyn signed him as a two-way. So then we moved to New York, and we were there from like January until April, until the season ended. Then we moved back home, and then ultimately came back down here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is that all in 12 months?
Yes. It was really from like, I would say August until about June was when we like ended back last June back home in Indiana before coming back here.
And now you've been in Miami for a while.
Now we've been in Miami since
like a year?
End of August. Yeah. Okay. Almost a year, which
almost
has been amazing.
Yeah. What is your life like when you're moving all the time? Like, can you make friends? Can you have a routine? Like, are you a routine person, or are you very like go with the flow just in general?
I would say I try to be a routine person, but as like, this lifestyle has went on, I feel like I've been able to adapt. My mom always says like, you don't give yourself enough credit for like how you've adapted to different situations. And fortunately for me, I have met amazing people in every place: Sioux Falls, Brooklyn, Miami. But yeah, it can be tough when you're bouncing around like that to make friendships, but I've met like incredible people at every place who have like welcomed me and helped that transition.
Yeah.
So.
Do you mainly meet through the team, or how do you make friends? Because I get questions all the time about how do you make friends as an adult, because I think when I moved to Miami, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So like people now see that I have like a good group of friends, and they're like, how did that happen? Because it's so hard when we're older to like make those connections. But I feel like you've done such a good job at it.
I would say the team definitely helps, because there's always girlfriends, there's always wives. So that's an easy way to start talking to someone and make a friend. Outside of that, I would say that's been like my biggest way to make friends. I recently started working as a yoga teacher here in Miami. So I would say going to gyms, working out, like that's been another way. Church as well, like getting plugged into a church, you can meet people that way. But yeah, I would say the biggest way for me to make friends has been like ultimately through the team. Yeah. Which is a huge blessing.
Yes. Yeah. Compare Sioux Falls, Brooklyn, and Miami, because I feel like there's literally 3 opposite cities. Miami and New York can be like, they're very different, but like the people make that like transition all the time.
Yeah.
Sioux Falls is in South Dakota.
Yes.
That's like
Yeah, honestly, like
South Dakota to Miami to New York.
Yeah. We really loved our time in Sioux Falls. It's just really cold there. It's just definitely a smaller city, but that's kind of what we're used to. So it kind of felt like home for us in a way. And, just more of like a smaller town vibe. In Sioux Falls, it's very spread out. It's just pretty cold. We never got to experience like the summer there. And I know it gets warm and hot there. But yeah, we really enjoyed our time in Sioux Falls, and then Brooklyn and New York. Neither Dru nor I had ever been to New York. So we were yeah, it was like just an amazing, like, eye-opening experience. Like outside of like, the basketball was amazing, but then just living in New York, like,
But you were there the worst months also. January to April is like
But honestly,
miserable.
We had like no snow. There was no snow. I feel like it didn't really rain that often. And honestly, we had so many visitors where we were able to, it wasn't like freezing cold. I think that's what I thought because, coming from like Sioux Falls and we were going to New York, I was like, oh, it'll be cold. But honestly, there were so many times like a little puffer coat and like I was fine.
Okay.
So we loved like exploring New York. We did so many touristy things while we were there, of course, while Dru was playing basketball, but like, I'd love to go back and visit, especially like in the summer and get to experience it that way. So yeah, like that's a completely different vibe than like Sioux Falls. Obviously you're in New York, so it's just huge,
Yeah.
And then Miami, of course, is just like Miami.
So different.
Yeah, you can't beat Miami. Like ever since we came here the first time, we like loved it. And for some reason, for it being like a big city, we never felt like overwhelmed being here because we're both from like relatively small areas. And Miami has just kind of like always felt like home. And we've always told our family that. And so we're so happy to like be here. And obviously the weather is amazing. And the organization is amazing. And we just, we love Miami as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I was so sad when like I realized that you guys could potentially move. I was like, wait, I don't like being friends with people that can move all the time.
Yeah, I know. It is
so
tough.
sad.
Yeah, that is one thing. It's like you meet these girls or wives or, and I've kept in touch with like quite a few of them, but it is hard, like because you bond on such like a deep level of you're sharing this experience with someone who understands what you're going through.
Yeah.
And then the season ends and potentially you're leaving and they're leaving and it's like, oh my gosh, like we could be on opposite sides of the country next season. And I guess you just don't really realize that until like the end is near. And then you start realizing like, oh my gosh, like all this time that I've spent with these people, like it could look completely different next year. So that definitely is hard.
How do you deal with like the rejection or I don't know if rejection's the right word, but like the cutting, the transferring, trading, whatever, like, do you guys find out the same time the world finds out, or do you have kind of like prep time to realize like, okay, I'm gonna leave? Because I know Dru's obviously had a lot of transitions from you guys moving all the time and being traded.
Yeah, I think everyone's experience with that is different. So just speaking on our experience, we have always known like before it goes like on the internet or whatever, which has been a huge, very big blessing and like gives us time to like mentally kind of wrap our heads around it. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard when it happens or like you get news. But like I said, ultimately, like we lean so much into our faith and like we have a huge support system around us. Like our families are amazing. Our agents are amazing. And I just feel like every like closed door has led to another like open one. And maybe we don't realize it in the moment, but like once that next one opens, we're like, okay, this is why. And yeah, I think we just have to like I said, take it day by day and realize that if it didn't work out, there's a reason why. And just like trusting in that, I guess.
I love that. Because I think with anything, I mean, whether you're in the industry you guys are in or like literally anything, like if I've always looked back at my life and seen like, okay, if that didn't happen, then that wouldn't have happened. And then that wouldn't, and
like
it's like
piecing it all together to lead to like this one moment or like where we're at now. And like even Dru and I, meeting in Evansville and like just the different things that like we navigated together to like ultimately prepare us for this. I do the same thing. I'm always like, oh, well, if this wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
It's like the butterfly effect. It's of like one little thing can change
your whole
everything.
your whole life.
Yeah. And now you're in Miami. You guys have been here for a little bit. Hopefully gonna stay, because I would be so sad if not. But you got your yoga teacher certificate. You're working at, a yoga studio, and you're teaching. Do you feel like, anytime you've moved, did you kind of try to do your own thing, or were you always kind of like, well, I don't know, because like we might not be here long? Like, what made you want to do that now? If
I definitely have always, I think, since we got married, because we got married on a Saturday, and literally like that Tuesday we were moving to like where Dru was training at for all of this stuff. So pretty much like since we got married, I knew I was done officially teaching at that point. I've tried to like, I think, keep myself with something. Yeah. Just because I think it's healthy for me, it's healthy for Dru. Like, so I subbed for a while. Then when we, came back home, I actually started a small business. I was selling online athleisure wear. And I love doing that, but ultimately, like, it just got to be a little too complicated with all the moves. And so I kind of had to like stop that. And honestly, it was a lot of work. So, but that was fun while it like lasted. And then when we moved to Brooklyn, I kind of gave myself a little grace, because I think I was always searching for like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And once we got there, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to put that pressure on myself. And so really there, I didn't do anything for like myself, quote unquote. Then we moved back home. And once we moved back to Miami this past like August, I joined Core Power maybe in September, October. I love to work out, and then they ended up having teacher tryouts. And so I was like, like, I'm just going to go for it. And if it works out, great. And it did. And I love it. And it's very flexible, which, is something that I tend to need like in this stage of life. And so, it like keeps me busy, and kind of gives me that teaching aspect as well.
I was going to say, you're still teaching, but it's just
a different way. Yeah. And so I think that was like, it helped with a transition for me, because obviously I'm teaching adults now and not like 10-year-olds, but it's still kind of like, it like fills my bucket up in a similar way, it's just like connecting with people and, encouraging people throughout class. Like, I love it.
Okay. I actually was wondering, because you teach at Core Power, and it's I don't know if it's global, but it's at least all over the US. Could you, if you did move somewhere else that had a Core Power, could you teach there?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice then. So
I think
it's not
as
like
long
a local...
as I have, my certificate, I'm pretty sure, obviously I'd have to go through the hiring process again, but I think that's like transferable, like as long as it's a Core Power. Yeah. And I think even I might be wrong on this, but I think the 50 like hour certificate that I have could maybe even go to like other studios. It would just depend on what the studio has in place for requirements. So
okay. Yeah. That's cool. I know, if anyone's in Miami, take her class. I still haven't taken it yet. I have to come and take it.
I love it. It's like, it's heated, so that adds just an element of like, toughness, I would say, but it's like so upbeat. And
How many classes do you teach in a day?
Right now, well, I've been subbing a lot. Like, I kind of just was like, you know what, I'll pick up a bunch of like people's classes if they need a sub. So on a normal week, I teach one class Monday, one class Thursday, one class Saturday. But this week I've taught Monday, Tuesday, I teach tonight, 2 tomorrow, 1 Saturday morning. Okay. So like I can definitely fill it up more if I want. It just kind of depends on if there's more availability that week or not.
And has Dru done any of the classes with you?
Yes. He only agrees to one a month because
you have an agreement.
Yeah. I ask him to come basically every time, because I'm like, I love when he comes. Like, one is just kind of like he makes me feel like confident in myself, I guess, which I love. But two, like, it is a good workout. And right now he's rehabbing every day with his knee. And so he's at the point where he can do like the full 60-minute class, which is like amazing. And he's like, I'll come to one a month, because he thinks it's so hard. Like, and he's dripping sweat, like he's like drenched. And so he's already used his May pass.
Okay, catch him
in
in
like
June.
May 2nd, and he's like, "Are you sure you want to use this pass?" And I was like, "Yeah, just come." But now I'm like, "Oh, I should have waited until like middle of May." But
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And have you ever done any of his workouts? Like,
oh gosh, no.
No.
I mean, obviously, like since I played college basketball, I've been through like a collegiate level basketball workout, which that's a whole nother like beast. Like if I tried to play a pickup game right now, I would probably be so winded. I've watched his workouts. Like all summer I'll go and watch, or like
Yeah.
I'll help rebound, or, if the trainer like needs me to do anything in the workout, not do the workout, but like set a screen or whatever, like I'll do that. But no,
Yeah.
I've never, like, I really haven't done anything with basketball since I graduated.
Okay. And how many years ago was that? Like 5?
I graduated in 2019. Yeah. So
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is crazy. I mean, I have shot around. I play with Dru for fun, but
Is he competitive with you, or are you competitive with him?
I'm competitive with him.
That's a better question.
Unfortunately, we're both very competitive, but like he is more of like, he'll like get in my head with like jokes, or I'm like, no, I want to beat you.
Yeah.
Even though I know like I can't, I still like think I should be able to.
Yeah, why
and I'm
not?
like, well, you're literally like in the NBA, so no, I'm not going to beat you. But yeah, we have fun with it, and like, it's a good time.
Yeah, that's fun. I feel like I mean, I don't even like play basketball at all, but I feel like I would be competitive.
Yeah, no, like, and that's with anything. Like if we go play tennis, or like we love to play volleyball, yeah, we're pretty competitive in that way. But it's like fun. It's like a healthy, I would say, competition until I get upset or something.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned that he was rehabbing with his leg.
Yeah.
Or his knee, his
Knee.
leg, his knee. How was that because that's another part about being with an athlete is the chance of injury is so high. It's pretty much inevitable. Like you're going to get injured at some point, whether it's serious or not. How do you guys deal with like injuries and setbacks? Do you view them as setbacks? Like what's been your mindset when that happens?
Yeah. So he tore his ACL like the day before Thanksgiving. So we were all devastated. He was playing so well and like, just really coming into like his role on the team. And so when that happened, it was just like, oh my gosh, like it was just heartbreaking.
And it was his first season.
Yeah.
On
just got
the team.
signed. Yeah. And so that was just like such a it just like it stunk, because if you know Dru, like you can't help but just like love him, and he's just like such a hard worker and such a good teammate and just like all the things. And so when that happened, we were just like, why him, but the Heat have been absolutely incredible. They have taken amazing care of him. Like him and the trainer have done, it's just been amazing. And he is ending like month 4. He had surgery December 29th. So end of May will be 5 months out. And he's truly had like no setbacks, and ACLs can be hard to recover. I've done it 3 times. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I was like kind of preparing him. Because his pain tolerance though, like Dru has played through so many injuries.
Yeah.
And so his pain tolerance is super high, and he will like, even if he's in pain, he will go out there and like, you will not know.
Yep.
And so for me, I tore it twice in high school and once in college. So I had never ever been injured, and I'm like every day, like crying, it just was like not fun.
Aww.
And so that was my experience. And so I was kind of like telling him like, babe, it's going to be painful, but like, you're going to get through it, da-da-da.
You're like ready for him to like use you as like a shoulder to cry on.
I'm like, I'm here. Like, I understand what you're going through, all the things. And then he has surgery the 29th. I'm not kidding. His birthday is the 30th, the next day. And he's like up smiling in pictures, obviously not walking around.
Right.
But like, he's just,
because I've seen him since.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I don't know when I saw him like a week later or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I saw him at church like right afterwards.
He came to church we went to church maybe 2 weeks. Yeah. He was on crutches, big old brace. He's like, no, like let's go. And I was like, are you sure? We can watch online. And he was like, no, like I'm fine. And that's kind of, I don't know. I think initially he was, mentally went through all the emotions that you're going to go through. But then it was like, okay, like just got to tackle this. And, he's done amazing. And obviously, like, I think by the grace of God, like he's literally had one of the best recoveries up to this point. Like, really has not had any struggles, or he hasn't even like really came home many days and be like, oh, like my knee, he might be sore here, like from time to time. But yeah, I think just with the trainers and like the doctor here and like everything has just been amazing.
Yeah.
So for a unfortunate event that,
right. Obviously you don't want that to happen, but like even though it did, and like what's come from it has been impressive.
Yeah. So now I'm like so ready to, it's, you know, basically the whole rest of the season, like he was obviously out. And so, you know, that was a long time, like November to just now, you know, and I know he's ready to get back out there. So, and so, I'm like so excited to watch him again.
Yeah. What are the summer plans then? Like what's the schedule?
So, I think like more so in a normal year, we would probably go home for like maybe a month. You know, with this being our first year of him being signed, it might look a little different, but with the knee now and him rehabbing, we'll basically be in Miami like most of the summer. I think we'll get to go home like here and there. I'll be working. He goes to the gym every day for like 2-3 hours, and as his knee keeps progressing, I'm sure that will like bump up a little bit, because then he'll start doing like stuff on the court and all that. But yeah, we'll basically be in Miami. This is our first like summer in Miami. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. What is your routine like right now? So like when he's home, does your routine differ from when he's like training or gone, or what does that look like? Like walk me through, like you wake up, what time do you wake up?
Like if
what
Dru's
do you
home?
do? Yeah, both.
Okay.
I guess if it differs, then you can.
It's been a while because once he got injured, he didn't travel with the team.
Right.
So really since November, like basically, and 1st of December, he's been home.
Yeah.
I tell everyone like I've been so spoiled, because normally, you know, he'd be traveling a lot, and so basically like wake up. I'm normally an early riser, so I'm normally up by like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Like if I happen to stay up late, I might sleep until like 8. Take Ruby out. We have a dog, Ruby. Take her for like a small little loop. Let her use the bathroom. Come back upstairs. We'll make breakfast. Like Dru made breakfast this morning. He's really like coming into cooking. So it's been like really nice. Like he made dinner last night, made breakfast this morning. So it's been,
Has he found like new hobbies now that he's had to be home?
I mean, he loves to golf. He just hasn't been able to golf yet, but that's definitely something he loves to do.
Yeah.
I would love if he would love to just like lay by the pool, but he's not a huge fan of that, I would say. But yeah, like now that I'm working, and like last night I worked a 6:15 p.m. class, and so I didn't get home until almost 8. And so he was like, yeah, I'll make dinner. And he's like really coming into that, which I think is so like cool. And it's been neat. It's like really nice to like see him cook and like him get excited about like meals and stuff. So and honestly, even before, like we would always kind of like cook together. Like he would like help in this way, and then like I would prepare stuff. So we always kind of like tag teamed it in a way. But yeah, that's been fun. So like wake up, eat breakfast. Then he normally goes to the gym. Depending on my schedule, I might teach a class, or like once he leaves to go to the gym, I will normally like take Ruby on a walk, or maybe like meet up with a friend for like coffee or breakfast or something.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back home, we'll eat lunch, kind of just hang out for a few hours, depending on like what the day. I feel like even though our schedule isn't like super busy right now, we're not really just like sitting inside, you know, like there's always
stuff to do
going on, or like, like I have family that lives like 40 minutes away. So sometimes we'll go over there for the afternoon, and and then we might like take Ruby for another walk, or like Dru and I might go do something and then eat dinner and go to bed. We're kind of homebodies, honestly, but it kind of feels like there's always something going on. When Dru's not there, I would honestly take Ruby on like 4 walks a day.
And the dog gets a lot of exercise.
I know, especially before I started working, because I'm like, I can't just like sit still. Like I'll either be doing laundry, or I'll clean, or I'll do something. Like it's hard for me to just like sit. Yeah. And I know that's good for me sometimes, but
I think you should pick up content.
Well, I tried, and it is hard. It's like so time consuming.
It is, but I feel like you have like such a cool lifestyle. Do you watch any content creators that are married to athletes, like Allison Cooch?
Here and there. Like I don't have TikTok, so
okay.
I'm not on TikTok. I feel like I'm on Instagram enough that I'm like, okay, I need to limit myself to like one social media app, kind of.
Smart.
I have Facebook, but I don't really use it that often. Like I'm not going on there and like
updating your status.
So like Instagram to me is kind of like TikTok, because I watch reels instead of just like watching TikToks. And so I honestly don't watch a ton of like people that have a similar life to me, I would say. I definitely follow like, a handful of like NFL wives or like some NBA wives, I guess. But yeah, I don't really like.
You should pick up YouTube.
Yeah. See, I don't even know how to do all of that.
I feel like YouTube would be, honestly, short form content is harder for me than long form, because long form, it's like, okay, I'm just going to pick up my camera whenever.
So what does that mean though? Like short term versus long?
So like short form would be like
form.
Reels, TikTok.
Okay.
Long form YouTube, it's like, I mean, this is a podcast, but
Yeah.
like it would be my vlogs that I do. So I do like a week in my life, and it's like a 30-minute video.
Okay.
And it's me like picking up the camera,
Yeah.
talking about, like showing
And
my
see,
week.
I'm more into like, I would be more, and I've done this, like if we go on a trip and I take like videos, I like to do that versus, when I tried recent, like kind of started to make like little reels, I was like, gosh, this is taking like, or, like I would be so picky about the shot or like think, okay, this doesn't look good. So like why post? Like, I don't know. It was just hard for me to kind of like get into it. And I felt like if it's not organic, like I'm just not going to do it right now, so.
Do you follow Paige Lorenz or Morgan Riddle?
No.
Do you know who they are?
Mm-mm.
So they're both, Paige was a YouTuber like before she started dating this tennis player, but now she makes a lot of content about that. But Morgan is a tennis player's girlfriend. And so, I mean, with tennis, they're traveling like all over the world. Like it's like very cool cities and stuff. But she started on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but her YouTube is like blowing up right now.
Oh, wow.
And she does like long form content about like all of the cities that she's in, like with her, like for tennis. And now she has her own brand in its own. Like she was just at F1 and she was like partnering with them and doing stuff like that. But like her long form videos are so interesting. And I feel like short form for me is just harder because like, I'm like, how do I make like an entertaining video in 60 seconds that like long form, at least I can just like talk to the camera about my day and then just like, okay, show a few clips and then piece it all together. And it's like, to me, it's actually a lot easier.
That definitely seems easier to me. Like when I have like vlogged or done things, like I like to just like take a small clip and then like put my phone away and then like another, so yeah, that's definitely been like easier for me, but I don't know. Like it's just, I guess when I kind of tried, I was like, gosh, this is a lot. And like I said, it just didn't quite feel organic and like right for me. And so I was like, like I'm gonna like press pause on that. And
okay, if you ever want to pick it back up,
I'll let you know.
I'll update the podcast.
I'll take your advice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I was like, I always get a little nervous to like talk, and I don't know, but it was so fun.
No, I'm like so glad because I feel like this is the question the girls want to know. Like I don't have like this podcast is mainly women that watch. Yeah. I don't want to talk about like stats and like, that type of stuff. Like
kind of the ins and outs.
Yeah. It's fun to see the behind the scenes.
Well, thanks for having me. It was so fun.
Where can they find you if you want to share your socials or no? Do you want to keep that
that's
private?
fine.
Okay.
I basically just have Instagram. It's Marley Smith, kind of a mouthful to say, but yeah, that's my Insta. And I've been kind of like not great about posting recently, but I'm getting ready to like, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of Miami moments to share. So yeah.
You'll see her posting some reels.
Maybe.
All right. Thanks, Marley.
Thank you.